Good afternoon today to our next webinar. Today we are going to show a technology preview of our solution for Hyper-V. So that will be active-active high available cluster iSCSI failover based for Hyper-V cluster as well. So maybe you know that Hyper-V cluster or any Microsoft cluster require so-called persistent reservation support. We were supporting this in the past for the single node, but for high availability, of course, everybody is expecting that we do have it for our iSCSI failover cluster as well. So the version which I will be using today, it is still in our development, but the development is finished. They are just making some adjustments or improvements, and next days they will be the version will be coming to our QA, and then we are going to launch this during the CBIT. So what I have prepared for today, I would like, because this is the first time we are showing iSCSI failover cluster with Hyper-V cluster, this is why we will do step by step, so both installations step by step. We will also create a simple virtual machine, and then we will make some very simple testing. So failover on the DSS side, manual failover, failback, and the same on the Hyper-V cluster side. Because the setup is quite long for Hyper-V cluster as well, so I have prepared so-called quick start. So there is 3 pages of quick start. First we show how everything is configured for this demo, so that's the first page. Next page step by step, and then last page of step by step. I will go through all these steps, and here we have a chart which is showing our setup. So please note that we will have 5 computers here. So the 2, of course, for the servers for the iSCSI failover active-active, so that's the 2 servers which are running DSS V7, okay, and with the nodes name are node dash a dash, and then some random number which we always advise to keep the random number which is created by the system, to not have the same 2 hosts in the network having name just a node name. For the Microsoft Hyper-V cluster nodes, I'm using just node A, because then will be easier for me to and faster to make this demo setup. So next nodes are node A, node B, that's the Hyper-V cluster nodes, and there is one more Active Directory Services server. This is something similar to vSphere when you talk about VMware, that you have the virtualization nodes, and then you have one more extra server computer which is managing the virtualization cluster. So in this case that will be Active Directory server, and the Active Directory server will have all these same features and roles installed as Hyper-V nodes. Extra, that will be Active Directory Services role installed. So that's the IP addresses I have prepared for today's setup. So the DSS has a kind of factory default, so 0 to 120, 1 to 120, 2 to 110, 3 to 220, and the 2 to 1 on the right side. I'm using just 4 Ethernet ports here. This setup is also it will work for the minimum hardware, which you can imagine that's maybe 2 Ethernet ports. If I will have 2 Ethernet ports, this will work as well. So that will be working so that the second Ethernet port will be for volume replication and the first will be for the everything rest. So that will be for the web access, that will be for the storage access. So both resource pools will use the ETH0 in such case. Okay, but as I have the 4 ports in every server, so I was deciding that the last port, so ETH3, will be used for volume replication, and the ETH1 and 2 that will be used to export our iSCSI targets, and the resource pool, first resource pool, which is started on node A, will use ETH1, and the second resource pool, which is started on node B, will be using ETH2. We will see this step by step. On the Microsoft Hyper-V cluster side, the setup is 0-230, and then the ETH1 and 2, you see we have a 21-22, and same 21-22, because 21 and 22 are our virtual IPs. So the first resource pool is 2100. So the ETH1 will access the first resource pool, and the second resource pool we see here is 2200. So the next card will be using accessing this second resource pool. Of course, for the virtual machines, probably we need more ports, but in our setup we will just use one single port for virtual IP for the virtual machines access. And Active Directory server is nothing special. I have here 2 ports, so that both I set up as a static ports. Don't do dynamic, because the Microsoft will prompt you when you have any DHCP configuration. So please set everything as a static IP addresses. And both Hyper-V nodes I'm using as a ping node. So here I have I was setting so-called alias IP on both storage access cards. So, and I can have 4 ping nodes, but maybe I can also use just 2 ping nodes in my setup. So the first ping node on the first storage access card on the node A, and then second storage access card on the node B, for example, right? So I will be using this 1-230 and maybe 2-231, or I can enter also all 4 of them into my setup. Ping nodes are very, very important for our cluster stability. This is why we want that the cluster nodes are working as ping nodes, and the ping nodes, of course, are in the physical IP address of the storage cards. So the iSCSI target is exported here in our setup over ETH1 and 2, and that's 1-220 and 2-220 on the left side, and the 1-221 2-221, but you know the subnet is 1 and the subnet 2. So you see this ping nodes is always in the subnet 1 and 2. Of course, the IP must be unique. Okay, that's our setup, and let us come back to our quick start. Okay, so the quick start is first showing our IP configuration. So you have seen this already. Then, so I see here DSS V7 node A, DSS V7 node B. Then we have Hyper-V cluster node A, Hyper-V cluster node B. Please note that here is a DNS also. Maybe gateway is not so important, but I have in my network important is DNS. And the Active Directory server is just 0232. So my DNS is exactly pointing to the Active Directory server. I have also one information here that by default, when you install Windows 2008 R2 and also Service Pack, maybe I need to mention that as a minimum configuration is Windows 2008 R2 service pack 1. Please don't try without service pack, because there are some problems and we don't want to waste time on it. It is much faster to install service pack and everything works smoothly. So ping nodes, because the ping is disabled by default, this is why our first point will be to enable ping on the firewall. So I have here 230, 231 and 232. Okay, so there's 3 Windows servers. On the both nodes I have already enabled this. I will show you how to do it on our Active Directory server. So I go to network settings. So one more time, we go here on the right side down, and then we just open network and share center, and here down you see a Windows Firewall. Okay, so I click on Windows Firewall, and then I click on advanced settings, and in advanced settings we need to click on inbound rules. Okay, I do it, and now we can sort on protocol, and you see when I sort on protocol, then I have file and print sharing and echo request. It is gray, so it is disabled. So I right mouse click and enable this. Okay, once it is enabled, then of course I can ping already to such server. So let us try. So I can ping you see the ping is answering already. Also you can check whether the other servers are answering on ping as well. This is extremely important because we will use the both cluster nodes as ping nodes. Okay, so this is the very first step you need to do on all servers. Okay, now ping is working, so let us go and set up Active Directory domain services. So on this ADS server, we call it this server and the ADS server. So I will go to server manager, and in roles I will add role. So adding a role, I need to select Active Directory domain services. Yes, of course it requests something more, so you need to add next, next, and then we are ready to install. Okay, it will take some time, but I will wait until a reboot. Okay, so we have a now I have this Active Directory domain services as a role installed, but this is not configured yet, so I need to click on this, and here you see there is a Active Directory domain services installation wizard. So we just click on this wizard, next, next. Now we need to create a new domain in the new forest, so I'm selecting this. Okay, and now you need to enter a domain name. In our case, that I will just use a demo.local. Okay, so now it is of course checking if any demo.local is in my network. It will not find such a, and then I can finish the installation. Verifying. I'm showing this because every step may be important. So here we need to select Windows 2008 R2. Okay, DNS, this we can confirm. This we can confirm. And the password, of course, you need to enter your password. Yes. Next. And now we can select this reboot on once completed. Then system will reboot automatically by itself, and then after reboot we will be finishing Active Directory. So now we have time, maybe a few minutes to finish this. So by meantime I will go to DSS. So I have prepared two DSS servers. So first one has a DSS 1, DSS 2. So the server name you will find under Setup Network Interfaces. You see DSS 2, that's the second one. And when I go to the first one, Network Interface, that's the server name. Please note that there is also host name, and that's very important. I was changing this already to node A and this random number. Because it requires reboot, so in order to save our time I was preparing this. So on node B I have on the DSS2 I have a node B as a host name. That's extremely important that you put such names, because failover configuration, the resource pools configuration, is based on the host name, so it's showing you which host name. When you have node A, node B, so you know exactly which host you are just watching. Okay. This is a very fresh setup. So I have two units here. Anyway, this is something else. For my demo, I will use this unit 1. So I need to just create a volume group. So just apply, select and apply. I do it on both. So go to configuration, configuration and volume manager, volume groups, right? And then I'm selecting also this 200 giga drive for me. Okay, small drive but fast. So we are formatting, actually we are creating the volume groups on both servers, and then we are also formatting the so-called system volume. This is why we show here formatting. Okay, on the DSS1 volume group is already created, so let me click on it and let me create the volumes. So in our quick start I was showing here information that we will have the following volumes. So the target 0, just 1 giga, probably maybe too much, because for quorum you need maybe 10 or 100 megabyte, I don't remember exactly, probably even 10 megabyte, very small volume, which is required for Hyper-V cluster to run. And then I just prepared for the virtual machines, I just prepared two volumes, 100 and 101 giga. I will not put the same size exactly, then it will be easy for me to recognize which one is which one. That's the best practices, to put just a bit different size for the volumes. Okay, so let us configure the volumes. So now iSCSI volume. I just select volume replication at once, because then I will save some time. And now I enter 1 gig. Same I do on the right side. So here I will also create 1 gig volume. So iSCSI volume for volume replication, and size is 1 gig. Okay, that's it. Let us create one more volume. So here iSCSI volume, also for volume replication, and 100 gig. Same thing on the right side, iSCSI volume, volume replication. Don't forget, because if you forget it will take longer. Okay, 100, and then also 101. So one more. Okay, 101. Okay, and one more volume replication 101. Okay, volumes are already created. So now we go to volume replication function, and when we select the replication direction 0 and 1, so the 1 is actually the first volume and the 2 is second volume and 0 is just quorum. So both I will leave source for the first resource pool here, and the second I will have source on another. So here I must select destination, right? And same task I need to confirm on another side. So this will be destination as I mentioned. So 0 and 1 will be source on the node A, and volume 2 will be source on node B. Okay, so I go back to node A, and now I need to bind the hosts, and then please remember that this binding path is also replication path. So 192.168, in our case it is 3, and then 221. Okay, for the second adapter, and the password is admin. If you change the admin password later on, it doesn't matter, because this password is just is used now to negotiate to find another node. Changing the password has no influence on the cluster. Okay, connecting. So we need to find another site, but it will be done automatically, and we do it just from one side. So here see reachable. When I switch to another, then this function also has a reachable status. Now volume replication tasks. So first task is a task for the for our quorum volume. So I have just 1 gig. I will have 2 volumes, so maybe something about 100 megabyte. So let me give 20 megabyte limit for the quorum volume, and then 40 for my data volumes. Okay, so create M01 and then create. Both volumes I can start already, so both tasks, of course. The mirroring task I'm starting. Okay, mirroring task are started. Now the one more task which is on the right side, so M002, everything by default, create. And okay, M002 task can be started as well. Let us check the status, because sometimes there is a problem. So when you go to status task, we need to see that everything is consistent. If this is not, you need to stop and start again. Try, maybe it was just a small problem. But now everything works, and on left side, status tasks, okay, we check consistent, and we check the first one consistent. Okay, so next step will be to export these volumes over iSCSI targets. We will have for every single volume we will have a single target. Of course, the target on the both sides must be identical, so I need to remove these, and then also remove the server name from the target name, and that is the best target name I can have. So I have 3 volumes, so I go to targets one more time, and then create all targets first, and later I will just assign the volumes. Okay, so second target, click on targets, and okay, that's it. On the left side I will repeat on the right side, so configuration and the targets. Okay, first target, okay, second target, and the third target. Okay, now I will go to the left side first. I click on target 0, the alias target 0. Of course, I will see all the volumes available listed. We probably know already that the SCSI ID must be identical on the both sides, so I will mark it and then copy, then add the volume to the target and go on the right side, select target 0 and paste the SCSI ID. Okay, so I'm selecting this and I'm pasting. Okay, so add. So the first volume pair is already exported of target 0. Now I click on target 1 and you see now I have 2 only listed because first is assigned already. So we just copy, add and do the same on the right side. So target 1, I paste it here, add, okay, and the last one. So click on target 2. Now we see only one because all of them are assigned already. So we copy this, add, and same on the right side. Okay, paste. Okay, now all the volumes are exported over identical targets with the identical parameters. Now the last thing will be to set up the failover. This is actually very easy, but by meantime let me check what's going on with our server. Okay, so Active Directory, I need to connect. So now when I will try to connect with the administrator, I may have problem because did I? Yes, I was already assigning. So let me try. So I just try to connect. I will see the problem. I cannot connect. So we have this in our quick start, that now I need to use the first part of my domain name, right, and backslash and then administrator. So please don't be surprised. You need to use the different user and then write demo, because my domain was demo.local. Okay, demo and add. Okay, you can use small characters because the username is not case sensitive. And now my password. And now I can log in. Okay. Good. Okay, so we don't need to show this. Okay, for sure on all servers we will need the Hyper-V. Okay, so I will just add the Hyper-V as well. Here I will not have the virtual machines on this server, because when you install Hyper-V, the virtual machines will need physical adapters to work on it. But actually the second is not used, so I can select just in case. Later, of course, you can change it. And then we'll install Hyper-V, because the Hyper-V will be managing our cluster. Okay, so now we reboot. So now let us come back to our DSS. So by meantime I was just checking, adding the Hyper-V to my Active Directory services. Okay, so now I need to install the auxiliary path. So the volume replication path is already installed, okay, because by default we need it. And now auxiliary path I will install on my storage adapters. So let me see my chart. So the storage adapters is ETH1, ETH2, so that's the, on these adapters I will run a so-called heartbeat path, so the we call it also auxiliary path. Okay, so let me select ETH1 on both and edit, and we need ETH2 as well. Okay, so add ETH2, so that is 192.168 and subnet 2, right? And that's it. We have configured the heartbeat. This is enough to do it on the one server, because on the second server the changes are appearing automatically. Okay, ping nodes. Now, as I mentioned, we need ping nodes, and the ping nodes I can, to save time, I can put just 2. It is enough, but in your setup you can have 4. So 192.168, and then my first subnet, first storage subnet is 1, and this is on 220. Here, of course it is wrong. 192.168.1.230, of course, is my Windows Hyper-V Node A, right? And then one more, that will be 192.168 and the 2, and then 231, the second server. Okay, and the 2 ping nodes is enough. 1, it is not good idea, so please try always minimum 2 ping nodes. And in our case we can also, as shown on the chart, we can even put 4 ping nodes. Okay, next is so resource pools. So the first resource pool, when I click on add virtual IP, that I can enter virtual IP, so that will be 192.168.2100, and I will select just ETH1. That's my first path to access my first resource pool, just a regular class C subnet. Okay, in the resource pool I need to add my targets, so that will be I add target 0 and target 1, because target 0 is just a quorum and target 1 is just my first storage volume. Good. And same on the node B. So add virtual IP. Here we'll use ETH2. Okay, so 192.168.2200, 255.255.255. Net mask. So that's the virtual IP, and then also we need to add the target. So iSCSI resources. Okay, so no iSCSI resources, add targets, and the only last is target 2 because the rest is already assigned. Anyway, on the node B, the target, the volume replication task must be active on the node B first, right? Otherwise you will get the error message that you need to correct it. Okay, now we are ready to start, and then let me click on start. So it will take also a few seconds. By meantime, I would like to check what's going on my Active Directory server. You remember demo? Okay. Good. One more, now it is finishing Hyper-V. One more thing which we need to add in features, it is failover clustering, right? So we add this feature. Okay, so now let us see what's going on our quick start. So we were logging in, and the next step will be just to add the both nodes to the cluster. We can add both cluster nodes to the domain, okay? So in order to do it, first we need to make sure that DNS is configured, otherwise you will not find. And then we can just go to the regular function, computer menu, properties, advanced settings, computer name change, and then we will change to node A and then connect to demo local. Good, so let us start with the first node A. So this is just go to computer, right mouse click, properties, then advanced system settings, computer name, and then we click on change button. Okay, so in the change, now I will just put node A, and I will put domain, that will be demo local. Okay, so we just confirm. Of course it will ask for administrator password in order to join to the domain, so I just enter administrator and the password which I was using. So now I supposed to see welcome to domain message, and it will require reboot of my node, of my server. So I have to join. Okay, welcome. We see the message, and now it is still working. Takes few seconds, so you need to be patient. Okay, you must restart. So restart now. Great. Now we need to repeat for the second node. So now we close. Okay, so start, computer, right mouse click, properties, okay, advanced computer name, and change. Okay, here I will change to node B. Please remember, if you will have more nodes in the cluster or two clusters, you cannot have same names, so the name must be unique in the network. So demo local. Same procedure as node A. It will ask for the administrator password and for reboot. Okay. In order to save some time, I was installing the Hyper-V and failover features on both nodes already, and I was showing just on the Active Directory server, but everything is identical. So okay, welcome to domain. and now it will ask for the reboot. The only thing you need to be careful that will be, but maybe not so, because you can change this setup anytime later on. That will be selecting the Ethernet ports for the virtual machines. Okay, now we can close and restart. Okay, so this point is done. Now in the Active Directory server and both cluster nodes we need to add failover clustering. This is done already. I was doing this on live on the Active Directory server, and both nodes I was doing this before the webinar to save time. At Hyper-V, same thing, and for Hyper-V on my both nodes I was selecting the last adapter for the virtual machines. It will be good idea to separate all the traffic and then to have probably some more adapters for the virtual machines, but one is enough. And then of course after adding Hyper-V we need to reboot. Okay, so next point, on the both cluster nodes, so node A, node B, we need to connect to our iSCSI targets. But first let us see what's going on with our cluster. So our cluster is running by meantime. So we see that the resource pool on node A is active here, local, and the second resource pool is active on remote, right? So we have an active-active configuration. Oh, the ping nodes are not reachable. Yes, because the ping nodes which are configured on the both Windows server, both hosts, are not reachable because we are rebooting right now, I guess. So this is why we have this, but very soon we should see this. Okay, that's the, and that's our cluster resource pool manager, so we can make the failover failback with these move buttons here. Okay, so as I mentioned, the next step from our quick start will be connecting to iSCSI targets and formatting NTFS on the on one of nodes. Okay, so let me see whether we can do it already. So 230, I will try to connect. Okay, so good. So we are ready. I will show you also the configuration settings here, and maybe one small thing on the computer properties. You see we are using Windows Server 2000 R2. It must be enterprise, because otherwise you will not have the failover clustering, and the service pack 1. Okay, please remember that's the minimum. Of course you can use also 2012. Okay, so we need to go to iSCSI Initiator now, so I will add iSCSI. We need to enable, so yes. And I will go to Discovery and Discover Portal, and the first one is 192.168.2100. That's my first target, and the second is 192.168.22 Okay, now we go to targets and we see all inactive, so let us connect. Good, so we have all. Now we can go to storage, disk management, and we're supposed to see, okay, so the 1 gig, that will be our quorum. So online, okay, initialize and format. Okay, for format, please be careful, because here sometimes you can have a FAT or something like this for the small volumes. Please remember, it must be NTFS. Okay. Okay, same thing with the next one, online, initialize and format. Okay, format with NTFS. And the last one, initialize and format. Okay, so it is formatting. Let us switch to second node. Okay, and we need to go to iSCSI, Initiator and connect. Okay, so just iSCSI Initiator, enable this. Okay, go to discover portal 192.168.2100. That's our first virtual IP. 192.168.2200. That's our second virtual IP. And go to targets and of course connect. Okay, we are not formatting disk on the second node. Okay, so now let us see what's going on with our quick start. Okay, on Active Directory server in features, Failover Cluster Manager, we need to select validate configuration. Okay, so let us do it. Okay, so I will make it bigger. Okay, we can validate configuration here. Let us see. Okay, next I will enter node A and node B. Node B, let us see why we cannot connect. Okay, I will check the name. Node B, so it looks okay. Just checking if everything is okay. So far I didn't find problems. Let us try one more time. Oh, so we now know what's going on. Looks like I didn't install on the node B the failover. Okay, so good tip. Let us go to features. Okay, and then we need to enter failover clustering and install this. So, but this is quite fast. Great, so one more try. I go to 232. And now it's much better. So we have both nodes ready to validate. So run all tests. Yes, we need to do it. And it will take some time, but without validation the cluster cannot start without forcing this. So it is required actually to run validation before creating or starting the cluster, and all the tests must pass, otherwise there will be also not starting. So as you see that all this SCSI 3 and the failover and plenty of storage tests are running right now, and we have a few, probably 1 minute time. Later on we will see the test. It takes maybe 2-3 minutes. By meantime I will also show which version I'm using now. Probably this version will be still not final, I'm rather sure, because our colleagues have generated one more version today. So I'm using in software update, maintenance software update, I'm using the one of the latest versions, so it is just generated few days ago. But for these people who would like to test and would like to download our webinar, I will just give a link to latest version, which is probably more clean than this which I'm using. Okay, so let us check. Yeah, the validation test is still running, so we need to be really patient. But not only storage is checked, but the network, inventory, plenty of things are really tested here. Okay, let me see with quick start what will be the next step. Okay, next step will be just in Failover Cluster Manager. In features, we will just create a cluster. Okay, and creating the cluster will just put a cluster name, and we will need to select a new unused IP address which will be used for managing. So in our case I'm selecting just the next one, so 232 is my server, so 223 that will be the cluster administration IP. Okay, so we will go to features menu, failover cluster manager, and then we will create the cluster. That will be our next step. Okay, it is still working. So by meantime, in order to save time, let us make some very simple tests, and let us check what's going on with the ping node. There is something wrong here. One 230. There is a problem. So let me probably I have not. Okay. Let me go to the refresh the page one more time. Sometimes it is just a refreshing problem. Let me see what is the okay, I will check the first. Let us see whether the firewall is really properly configured. Okay, so we go to protocols, and yeah, here it is okay. We see that the echo request is enabled. Let me check the configuration. Okay, so here not on the 21. Okay, that's 1231. Two 231. Okay, it looks proper. I will stop and start the cluster one more time, but let me see until the okay, the test is completed and is successful. We can view the report. Okay, we can view the reports, so you see all these tests are okay. You can also print the report. Okay, so after this, next step will be creating the cluster, but still I want to check what's wrong with my ping nodes. I will stop the cluster for the second and see what's going on with ping nodes. Okay, ready for start. Let me one 192.168.1.230. Okay, now better. So let me start the cluster. Okay, during starting there are also plenty things checked, and the configuration files are replaced between both cluster nodes. There is a new message here that which is telling you that you need to use for every logical unit own target, and also information how to extend volume while cluster is working. Okay, so now it is started. Now everything looks much more cleaner. Everything is in a green. Okay, we can make a very simple, very quick test. So moving to the resource pool on node A, we can move activity to B, and then we can move it back to see everything. Resource moves successfully. We can move it back. Of course, there will be better to test such a failover failback while some services are running already. Okay, so let us switch to our Active Directory server, and then create cluster. That's our next step. Okay, let's go. Next, the server names, so both cluster nodes I need to select here. Okay, node A and node B. Next, now it's a cluster name. In my case, I will use a very short name, just HA, high availability. And here, as I mentioned, we need to enter an unused IP address, which will be used for cluster administration, so 233 in our case. Good, next. So now it is creating the HA cluster. After creating the cluster, we can run the validation one more time. But later, when we will add disk already, then in order to run validation, you will need to put the disks offline. So if you want to run validation, and do not change anything, that it's a very good idea to do it right now. But in order to save time, I will not validate this cluster one more time, because it takes another few minutes. Okay, so let us see what our quick start is telling us now. So after creating the cluster, we need to enable cluster shared volumes, right? So let us do it. So here, HA demo cluster, and then we have this option, enable cluster shared volumes. Okay, this is important that everything need to be R2, otherwise you can lose data. So please read this message. Okay, I read it. Okay, let us see what our quick start is telling now. So cluster shared volumes, and now we need to go to add storage. Okay, so storage, and then sorry, I'm in wrong menu. Clusters and okay, we need to go to features, failover cluster manager, and then cluster shared volumes. Okay, features, cluster shared volumes. Yeah, so now we have a proper menu, and then on the right side we have add storage. Okay, then we select both disks. So first and second, that the two disks which are in our two resource pools. Okay. You see, the first disk was not shown because the first was taken as a quorum disk. We can see this in the storage. That's our quorum disk, and that's our volume disks. Okay. Good, so we have disks now. What is the next step? Now it is the last step already. The last step will be just create the the demo virtual machine. So in Active Directory server, in features, failover cluster menu, and our cluster, we go to services, applications and virtual machines. Okay, we go to services, applications. Right, and on the virtual machines on the right side we can select new virtual machine, and now we ask on the which node first, because we can fail over this, of course. So I will select on the node A, just next, a new virtual machine. That's very good name, right? But we can say, let's say VM1. And of course we need to store in different location, and that different location will be on node A. We need to select cluster storage volume. Okay, and cluster storage volume, that will be volume 1 and volume 2. Let me see. Okay, volume 1 and volume 2. You see there is a cluster storage. Volume 1, that's our first disk, and the volume 2 our second disk. So I will select the, let's say, volume 1, and that's our, we must do this on this cluster storage to place this machine, to have the machine in the clustered environment. Okay, so now the next, let's say 1 gig. Now not connected or local, so we need to select the port for this virtual machine. This we can do it also later. I was selecting on node A and node B the local connection 4, so the last port for the virtual machine. So this is offered here as well. Okay, so now everything is okay. Let's say 30 gig. I can do, of course, more. And install operating system later. Finish. Okay, so now we have the first virtual machine empty without operating system, and we can also create the one more virtual machine which will be placed on our second volume. Okay, we have also see the report if we want. So you see the VM1 is there, virtual machine, new virtual machine, let's say on node 2, and then VM2. Again, we need to browse to cluster volume, and now volume 2. One gig, also port 4, let's say 40. Okay, so now our virtual machines are created. and the first one is on node A, second node B, and we know that the first one is using a first resource pool because the first volume, and second volume. We can click on this here, and then we can right mouse click, and then in settings we can already insert into the DVD. We can insert our ISO file, okay, and then once ISO file is there, then you can install the operating system on the machine. So, but this is very easy, and probably it is not so really very interesting for us. I can start these virtual machines even they are empty without operating system, but for our demo it is quite okay. And then you see I can live migrate. One is started to another node. This is on A. Now I can migrate this on node. Okay, it is. Oh. Aha. Because the migration was not done yet, it was migrating the first one. Okay, I need to wait until the first migration is done. Okay, so now it is migrating back. So the first one was A, now is B, and then it was B, now will be A. Okay, so that's the kind of moving machines between nodes. And on our cluster, iSCSI failover cluster, we can also move by meantime. And so node B, it was active on node B, so it was active on remote. Now is everything active local, so on node A I can also move this one. So node A I can move to another node. So that's kind of manual failover. So now is on the remote node and this one is on local node. We can also check that this is really in the volume replication, and now everything is reversed. So you see it was source, now is destination on node A, and it was destination, now is source. So this kind of simple failover failback is running. Here also we have a simple failover failback. Probably will be good to test a bit more, but the webinar time is over. I was really planning to be done within 1.5 hours because it is really a lot today to show. And let me see if there are some questions by meantime. Okay, it was some conversation here. Let me check. Windows 2008 R2 is great with Service Pack 1, of course, but we are also testing with Windows 2012 in our lab, and it works. I was having some problem with trial version here, and then as I was having installed 2008 Service Pack 1, then I decided to do, but probably next webinar soon I will also change to 2012. Our developers are testing with 2012. Next, does active-active failover work if you have an odd number of nodes and those aren't using quorum? Okay, so yes, this is you can have more than 2 nodes on the iSCSI failover on the Windows cluster. Our DSS cluster is still 2 nodes cluster. Why you are adding all roles to the Active Directory server and not just relevant remote management tools? You are increasing the area of patching and number of patches required. Yes, you can manage virtual machines from every single Hyper-V node. This is true, but having the Hyper-V on Active Directory server, you can manage the whole cluster. Because when you're moving from node A to B, when you go to node A, this machine is not there. You need to swap to node B. So in probably having Hyper-V also on the Active Directory services, it's more convenient to manage, and probably this is a design from Microsoft. This is why I was doing, but also I was managing the virtual machines from the nodes, from Hyper-V nodes as well. Okay, the right install. Okay, what about production side? The production side, please wait. We are going to launch this during CeBIT, and then few days after CeBIT we are going to have the final release. Our QA will run plenty of stability tests for this. Our developers did it already, but we do in our independent QA also to make sure that everything works perfect. Then we will have release, but I guess during CeBIT we will have already very solid, stable release candidate. Okay. With DSS V6 you got blue screen when you did it. Oh, this I don't know what you're talking about. However, what happens the Windows machine open the cluster? Okay, the previous version with Hyper-V will not work. So if you will have even single version for Hyper-V, please contact with our support. We can give you the version with the latest SCSI target, which works with Hyper-V without any problem. Okay, so now I see we are done with our webinar today. So I'm happy because I was able to show all the step-by-steps because the Hyper-V is quite new for us, but we are able to show how to configure the Hyper-V cluster using the Active Directory server and just a regular setup with the active-active on DSS side, and some simple failover failback testing. In the near future we are preparing more webinars, and then we'll also make some more complication. We'll use the multipath here as well, so that will be maybe more interesting. But you know, this kind of simple ABC, how to set up everything, it's also necessary. That's good start. So thank you very much for joining our webinar today, and I hope to hear each other soon on the next webinar. So thank you very much, and bye.